What's up guys, Jaden Irwin here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. This is part 2 of the Sapling crash course. So if you didn't watch the first part, go ahead and do that first. What I realized as I was going through and rewatching that first part is I just assumed that your code editor is just set up to use Sapling, and it mostly is. There are a couple of extensions that I wanted to mention that are worth installing. And really it shouldn't have given you any issues in that first part. Let me know in the comments below if it did. But really, for like syntax highlighting and formatting and things like that, these are my suggestions that I would say set up in your VS Code or your Cursor or Windsurf, whatever you're using, whatever flavor of VS Code you're using. We're just going to go through that real quick. And then I'm also going to mention a couple of things specific to Cursor and Windsurf that you can do to help the AI model understand Sapling a little bit better. What you're going to notice if you open the project, if you're following along, you should have this already set up, but you have this .vs code folder. And then under the extensions, I did put a couple of extension recommendations. Those might have popped up in the bottom right corner already for you. If they didn't, that's okay. But basically, because this is a Dino project, I do have Dino at the top there. If it's a Node project, obviously you don't need the Dino extension, but we're going to basically just search both of these manually. This is the lit plugin. This is for HTML template literals, which is what Sapling is using for those HTML tags. And that is how you would get syntax highlighting inside. And I can just show you. That's how you get the syntax highlighting for HTML inside of the HTML template tags. Because we're not using JSX or anything like that, this is just HTML inside of a template literal. So that is an awesome plugin that I would recommend. There's a lot of great ones out there, but this is my favorite, to be honest. And then the other one that is in there is the Uno CSS plugin. And you can just probably search for Uno CSS, but that's the actual tag for it. And Anthony Fu is the one who created Uno CSS and is kind of the main maintainer of it. Pretty straightforward. It is in preview technically, but it's been great for me, to be honest, for like highlighting classes and suggesting class names, things like that. It's very similar to the Tailwind plugin, but it has some specific features for Uno CSS. So you can actually comfortably have both of those plugins and those extensions. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the Cursor section of this, or Windsurf, the same concept. So one thing that I've done in the Sapling docs, if you go to the main website, sapling.land, and then click on docs in the top, and then you're going to notice that we have this open the docs button. And in the bottom left corner, we have a Cursor rules document. And this is outdated in the sense that Cursor doesn't really promote the .cursor rules file anymore. They actually recommend multiple rules that you can reference and tell the AI to reference for those rules. But this works just the same, right? I haven't really updated the document because it's still in flux about how that's working. But this Cursor rules file is actually super useful, and I've used it a lot for Cursor myself. Inside of Cursor, you can just open the command palette, Command-Shift-P, and then we can do rules is what we're going to type out, or rule, and you have new Cursor rule. So let's go ahead and click on that. I'm going to call this Sapling rule, and this is specific to this project. So it opens in a .cursor/rules folder, and then that sapling-rule .mdc file is where we're editing that. And we're just going to replace the contents with what is right here. So we can just copy that, paste it in. That looks great. And you can auto attach it to specific file types. That's really what's cool about this new .mdc format, is there's more features to it. So feel free to play around with that. If you've used it already, that's awesome. And then we can do a description of the task this rule is for. So when working with a Sapling project. So pretty straightforward. And then we can just save that. So that's actually really useful for the AI aspect of Cursor. And then if you're using Windsurf, it's actually the same concept. So you can literally just copy these contents and you can go to the root directory of your Windsurf project and just .windsurf rules for the rules file and just paste that in. And Windsurf will use that to reference, okay, this is how this project works. Sapling is obviously a new framework with old concepts. So that's really, if you poke around here, it gives it some context to the AI hey, this is what you're working with. This is how you edit a Sapling project in Sapling code. So pretty straightforward. It's got a couple of gotchas in there too for the AI to remember. So I would highly recommend, if you're using AI with your tool, this is a great system prompt to throw at it for Sapling. And then the last piece that I wanted to mention for IDE setup is, this is another like cursor. I'm not sure exactly how you do this with Windsurf. I'm sure it's the same concept, but with cursor, I can actually go to this LLMs reference right here. And this is a doc/docs LLMs that explains that we auto-generate an LLMs.txt file for Sapling. This has become a new standard for LLMs and how LLMs understand a new project or a new library or a new framework like Sapling. So we just auto-generate an LLMs.txt file, and that is super useful for an LLM to fully understand inside of context, what am I looking at? What are the gotchas? How would I edit this code? And what we can do, you could literally just copy and save that if you wanted to. But what's really cool about cursor is I can actually do in the command palette. So Command-Shift-P, we're going to do new custom docs. And then you can literally just go and paste that /docs/LLMs.txt. We're going to hit enter. It's going to ask a name for it. We're going to call it Sapling docs. Prefix. Okay, that's fine. Entry point and confirm. And there you go. It's indexed. You can see that I have another doc there for React Router that I was playing with. And then it's got the latest indexed time for that document. And you can always refresh that too inside of the cursor settings. Really useful. I know this is a quick one as part 2, but I just wanted to explain to someone that is setting this up. This is how you could set up a IDE like Cursor or VS Code or Windsurf, whatever other IDEs come in the future. I'm sure there's going to be more for Sapling. So yeah, hopefully you guys find that useful, find that helpful if you're trying to jump into Sapling and trying to use AI with it. So we'll see you in the next one. Peace.